How's it going, everyone? Justin here with MyManJustins Collectible Emporium, and I'm your man for Pokemon cards, card analysis, and Pokemon investment consulting. Today I'm just going to do a video and I wanted to share some insights I have gained through the past few weeks in the Pokemon market, and just wanted to share some tips, give you some insights, things that I've found that are kind of going on in the Pokemon world right now. So the first thing I've noticed that I wanted to share, and this is something that might be a little more widespread of knowledge, but the XY Evolution set apparently is now out of print. It doesn't seem they're going to be printing any more of these cards, and it has affected the price of these cards almost immediately. So this is a set that you might want to actually consider getting now, or maybe even if you have some extra of these cards to sell. So the Charizard, for example, the one that is like the reprint from the original base set Charizard, has gone up in price a lot. People are listing these now for around $50, and I just sold one for I think $30 for the reverse holo. So just something to keep aware of. This was a fairly popular set for one of the newer sets, and I think we're going to see this set increase in price slowly because it was a very popular set. Another thing I wanted to share, especially from an investing standpoint for more short-term kind of investment, like for people that like to flip, I would say looking for raw cards in higher grades is something that people that flip like to do. They buy them raw on eBay and then they send them into PSA to get graded. So I think the trick of this is to be able to find the right kind of cards for this. And what I would say right now, the base set cards, specifically unlimited base set cards, are a card that are a fairly cheaper card. I mean, you can find an unlimited base set Mewtwo for around $20 if it's going to be in the mint condition that you really want it for, because this is something that you want to get for a high grade submission. But cards in the base set are really numerous. There was a lot of these cards printed. It's not like in the later sets, like the EX era, where the amount of printing of them was actually fewer because Pokemon was kind of at its low point at this time, and there just wasn't as many cards printed, so there's not as many cards available. So the cards are more expensive and they are harder to find in high grade. Now, the base set cards, the limited base set cards, have a very high amount of transactions on eBay, and I've done analysis on this through the eBay marketing research tool, and you can see that the amount of base set holo cards that go through eBay each year are really high. So this is something that you can, if you are patient and keep your eyes on some specific cards, you can find mint cards. You know, they do go through. There still are mint and near mint plus condition base set holos out there. And the thing about these, why this is a good investment, is because these cards raw in mint and near mint condition are fairly cheap. If you can get them in that at least PSA 9 mint grade, you're going to get a really big return on them. So that's just one thing I wanted to share for y'all. Just finding these raw grade cards, and I think the base set unlimiteds are really good for this because it's a low cost to invest in them and a very high return if you can get those high grades. But you do have to wait for the high grades. And the thing about these two is that since there is a lot of them, there's more opportunity. These are a card that are more likely to kind of slip through in really high grades. Sometimes you'll just have people that are just unloading cards that they collected, and they collected them well and kept them safe, and are just kind of unloading their cards, and they're not into the grading stuff. So these are the kind of cards that every once in a while the really high grade cards will slip through. You just have to pay attention and make sure that you're keeping an eye out for these types of cards in these listings. And just to name a few off the bat, and you can check these out through PSA yourself, the set registry. Some low population of the higher grade cards are the Jungle Vaporeon, the base set Chansey Unlimited, and the Typhlosion from Neogenesis. So these are the cards that you really want to look out for because they're going to even have a premium on them for the higher grade. So they're going to be an even bigger. But with that being said, it's also because these are actually harder to find in higher grades. But nonetheless, good thing to keep out for these kind of cards, because if you can find that mint one that goes through eBay, it's going to be an even higher return. Now, also, I wanted to talk about this idea of grading. I know when I started grading cards, I got really gung-ho about it, and I wanted to get everything graded. And there's actually some tact that must be employed when you're dealing with grading cards, because not all cards should be graded, I would say. There are some cards, I think, that are better in binders. They're better to be collected in a set, kept in a binder, and more people actually want them that way. And for example, these are cards that I found recently. This is the Skyridge Reverse Holo Pikachu in mint condition. And this card actually probably would be a card that you want to get graded. But I also wanted to show these cards because so Skyridge is a set that is extremely rare. I think this was probably one of the least printed sets out there. These are both reverse holo too, and mint. And I think Skyridge must have been one of the least printed sets out there. So what I wanted to, before I get back to the binder collecting, this is also speaks to, really rare cards that don't come by often, that you can, go on eBay and search for, and there will be none. And that's how these are right now. So I had to wait for a while. These went up for auctions. They both went for around 150 each, I think. So they're not cheap, but I think they are even undervalued at that price because they simply don't exist. If you go on eBay right now, you probably won't find one of these at all. I think there's a Pikachu up there, and someone wants like 400 for it or something. But they're just so rare. Most of and that's something good to look for in cards too when you're looking for a good investment, is just the rarity of the card. Like a unique card from a unique set in a uniquely good condition is going to be a good card to have. But back to the binder collecting, I am collecting Skyridge, so I'm actually not getting these cards graded, even though these would be valid cards to get graded, because Pikachu and Eevee are both highly collected cards, and there are people that would want those in a graded set if they're collecting all Eevees or all Pikachus, have them all nice and graded. But I think the Skyridge set, since pretty much every card in it is so sought after and rare and great artwork and all that, I think this is a set that's actually better in a binder, because the whole set's so good, the whole set's so rare, it's so sought after. I just think having them all in PSA or Beckett cases, BGS cases, would actually almost devalue the collection. I think being able to go through and see the collection as a whole, I think this is the same thing that would be true for something like EX Dragon Frontiers in a complete reverse holo set. That's the kind of set that you want to have in a complete collection, you want to have in a binder. And that, I think, is the best way to collect cards like that. Although it takes a little longer, you got to take the time to find all the cards. And that's the thing with Skyridge too, is I'm currently collecting this set, and I have a lot of the cards. I'm collecting the reverse holo set specifically. I have a lot of the cards, but there are many cards that I'm looking for, the reverse holos, that are simply not on eBay at all. They're just not there. And that's just a sign of how rare and sought after these cards are. So there will be a premium also when you go through and do all the scouting to find these cards and then sell them in a complete set. There's going to be a premium for that, for a collector that wants the full set in a binder like that. Another thing I wanted to just bring up too is these lots that you see on eBay. And I would just say, from my own experience, my own opinion, I would say to stay away from lots. I would say essentially to stay away from any purchase that you aren't in control of receiving what you buy. I would say don't let another person choose what cards they're going to give you, because the only reason really to be making these lots where you don't know what you're going to get as a customer is to increase the value per card themselves. There's really no other reason to sell these cards as lots and not let the customer know what they're going to get before they buy it. It puts it all in the hands of the person selling it to you. And I do understand that there are people that do put together good lots, and it is fun for the mystery. But I'm just saying, from a practical standpoint, and an economic investing standpoint, I think, the reason that they usually do that is because they have cards that are hard to sell, and they want to be able to get those cards off and increase the value per card on the ones they do sell. So I think it's better just to, when you're collecting, to have a mindset of being intentional and just, don't outsource the ability for someone to pick your cards for you, and just take the responsibility to do that for yourself. Maybe once in a while, if you want to do it, it could be fun. I understand that. But just as a general rule, I would say stay away from lots. There are a lot of scammers that do this just because they know that there's no way for you to prove that, when you get no good cards, there's no way for you to prove that they basically scammed you and knew they weren't going to give you any good cards, or they didn't have any really good cards, or they're not actually willing to list or to put any good cards in those lots. Then there are people that are good for this, and they have reviews, and they're known people, and they're trusted people, and that's all good and it's fun. But like I said, just as a general rule, just understand that, especially from people that you don't know, that you're buying these repackaged lots from. The point is for people to get off cards that they couldn't otherwise get off, and get it at a higher price for them. So just, I would say, be wary as a consumer, as a buyer, as a collector, as an investor, of these types of tactics. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you found some of that information valuable. To keep an eye out for XY evolutions. Look for these low population, high grade cards, especially base set unlimited cards, which pass through on a higher amount at cheaper values, and in potentially nice high conditions. Also, the idea of being more intentional about which cards to get graded and which cards are better to collect as sets and hold off on them. And also, I have a binder I just purchased with some really cool cards. It's a really nice, unique, diverse collection. It's got some E-Series, some EX reverse holos, Wizards of the Coast era. So I will be uploading that one tomorrow. I'll go through those cards, let you check them out, talk about some. And until then, I'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks.